I'm going to walk you through how to do your reading post-its now that we're moving on to our next novel, which would be The Omnivore's Dilemma. So the goal of this video is to explain to you how to post it and what post-its you should be using. So why do teachers have students read and post it at the same time? Why is it something that you should be doing? Because it's helping you train your brain to think while you're reading. So a lot of us are thinking while we read, but we don't realize that we're having all of these thoughts. So by post-it noting while you're reading, it's forcing your brain to actually think about why it's thinking. Post-it noting also helps you avoid stopping for long periods of time to answer questions. So sometimes when you're reading, it's easier to put a post-it on that piece of paper and come back to it than stop, answer a question, slightly forget about what you read, and then try and remember and have to move on. Post-it noting also helps to cause your brain to think more while you're reading, because that's the goal here, is that we need to start thinking on our own, realizing that we have thoughts and filtering through those and making sense of those thoughts that we're having. Post-its also help you comprehend what you're reading because you are working through what you do and you do not understand, and it finally makes you an independent thinker and reader. So, what will you get out of this video? I'm going to answer the question, how do I do something I've never done before? Most of you are not familiar with how to post-it note, why you post-it note. We haven't done it at all this year. So that's what this video is trying to help you understand. So when do you stop and post it? It's going to be different for everyone. So there's no set way of post-it noting. It's not like every 2 pages or every paragraph. It's nothing like that. You are going to find that you'll post-it note at very random points throughout your reading. But here are a list of tools to help you figure out when you should stop and post it. So when you ask yourself a question in your head, stop and write it down. When you learn something new that your brain thinks is interesting or confusing, write it down. When you look at an image and you're trying to make sense of that image, or you learn something from that image, write it down. When you make sense of something and when you come to the end of a section or chapter, stop and write something down. So there are a few types of post-its that you're going to do while you are reading versus when you are done reading. So the first type of a post-it while you're reading can be a reaction. A reaction is your emotion towards something. So everyone's going to have different reactions to different things. Some of us are going to not react to a situation, some of us will. So some types of reactions you can have while you're reading are confused, surprised, shocked, speechless, excited, anxious, or angry. Here is an example of what you could write on your post-it if you have a reaction. Page 47, I was surprised at the type of environment that animals live in feedlots because, in my mind, I pictured something nicer and safer than the reality in the book. So your post-it is going to answer the what, which is I was surprised, and it's also going to answer the why, because in my mind I pictured something nicer. So for a reaction post-it, you need to make sure you not only have the page number, but you have what your reaction was and why it was your reaction. You can have a comprehension post-it, which explains what you do and do not understand about something you're reading. Some sentence starters can be, I did not understand blank, I am still confused about blank. So comprehension isn't just what you understand, it can also be what you don't understand. You are acknowledging that you don't understand something. That's a form of comprehension. Here's an example. I now understand what pollen means by the term GMO. That is what I understand. Why I understand this is because the paragraph on page 47 explained it in a way I could finally understand. So, for comprehension, you are also answering what and why. What do you understand or what don't you understand? And why do you understand it or not understand it? You can also make a prediction, which is when you make a guess about something that's going to happen later in the text. Generally, this is going to be based on what you already know. So you're making an educated guess, you're making an inference, you're making a hypothesis. All of these words are the same thing. An example of this could be, after reading this paragraph about feedlots, what you're predicting. I predict Pollen will reveal that he no longer eats food produced from feedlots. So the what is that he will no longer eat food from the feedlots, and the why is after reading the paragraph on page 47. So again, you're including the what you're predicting and why you're predicting it. You can finally have an opinion as well. So this is different than what you comprehend. This is different than what you predict. So it's what you believe to be true. It's your personal thought on something. I've also given you some sentence starters. I believe, I agree or disagree with, I do or don't like, and finally, in my opinion. So this is also going to include the what and why. So what, my opinion is animals should not be fed corn. That's my opinion. Why I think this is because they're meant to eat grass. Animals cannot digest corn that is bad for them. I'm taking the information that I learned in the paragraphs that I read and using it as my reason why I have this opinion. So again, you're going to include the what is your opinion and why is that your opinion. There's also two types of post-it notes after you read. So once you've finished the section or once you've finished the chapter, you're going to be required to do post-its after as well. So you will have to do one post-it on the author's purpose. So based on what you just read, what is the message the author is trying to get across? How are they getting their information across? Was the chapter to entertain you, to inform you, or persuade you? Okay, so you need to determine at the end of every reading what was the purpose. And then finally, you are going to do a post-it on the gist. So we worked on this with Inside Out and Back Again, which was getting the initial sense of the text, which really means creating a short summary. So you're going to do your post-its so that you can remember what happened in that section. And in order to do that, you're going to answer who, what, why, and how. So the who is always going to be the author, and in this case, our author is Michael Pollan. What is the author trying to tell you in this section? Why is the author telling you this? And how is the author telling you? So we've reviewed the types of post-its that you should be doing while you're reading, and we've reviewed the two types of post-its that you should be doing after you're reading.